Volodymyr Zelensky's big break on television was 2015's Servant of the People, a TV show where he played the role of a high school teacher. The plot of the show is intriguing. The teacher becomes a popular figure among the Ukrainian public.
Our first vocabulary is plot. Plot means a story of film, book, or play. Second vocabulary, intriguing. Synonyms: interesting, fascinating, absorbing. In this sentence, we can paraphrase plot to story and intriguing to absorbing. So we can say the story of the show is absorbing.
The plot of the show is intriguing. The teacher becomes a popular figure among the Ukrainian public after they watch a YouTube video of him speaking at length against corruption. The teacher is ultimately chosen to lead Ukraine as its president after receiving more than 60% of the votes.
Ultimately, synonyms: finally, in the end, eventually. In this sentence, we can paraphrase ultimately to finally and eventually. For example, the teacher is finally chosen to lead Ukraine.
The teacher is ultimately chosen to lead Ukraine as its president after receiving more than 60% of the votes. The TV show was produced by Zelensky's company, Quartal 95. Its team made the conscious decision to highlight corruption in the country while openly mocking Ukraine's political elite.
Mock. Synonyms: laugh at, make fun of, make joke of, ridicule. Next vocabulary, elite. Synonyms: first class, privileged class, nobility. In this sentence, we can replace mocking with laughing at or ridicule, and we can paraphrase elite to nobility. So we can say laughing at Ukraine's nobility.
95. Its team made the conscious decision to highlight corruption in the country while openly mocking Ukraine's political elite. Zelensky told Foreign Policy, "The best way to make sure Ukrainians don't come to accept the current state of affairs as normal is to put these political absurdities in a new format."
Absurdity. Synonyms: stupidity, foolishness, silliness, unreasonableness. Here, best option for paraphrasing is unreasonableness. So we can say to put this political unreasonableness in new format.
Is to put these political absurdities in a new format. The TV show was wildly popular and bigwigs in the TV industry got involved. Fox Studios bought adaptation rights and Netflix decided to acquire the show and stream it for subscribers around the world.
Now I'm very popular in USA.
The popularity of Servant of the People inspired the team behind Quartal 95 to form a political party called the Servant of the People.
Next vocabulary, servant. Definition: a person who serves other people.
A political party called the Servant of the People. Volodymyr Zelensky rose to the challenge in 2018 and declared that he would be running for president. His campaign was unlike any other. As a comic, Zelensky was often spotted at tours around Ukraine where he made it a point to crack jokes on his opponents. He declared that he would fight corruption in the country if he was chosen as the next president.
Next vocabulary, corruption. Definition: illegal or bad behavior, especially by people in position of power. Here we can use criminality instead of corruption. So in this regard we can say he declared that he would fight criminality.
He declared that he would fight corruption in the country if he was chosen as the next president. Additionally, he embraced social media to talk about his campaign. It worked. Zelensky won over 73% of the votes and was sworn in as the president in May 2019. Zelensky made several promises during the campaign and said he would work hard to resolve differences with the Russian government and bring peace to the Donbas, a disputed region in eastern Ukraine.
Every time Zelensky speaks Russian, the crowd here start to boo and to say shame.
He didn't really specify how he would achieve his goals or overcome the difficulties that his predecessors had faced, but still impressed Ukrainian voters.
Predecessor is a person who held job or office before the current holder. In this photo, you can see former presidents of Ukraine, or Zelensky's predecessors.
Specify how he would achieve his goals or overcome the difficulties that his predecessors had faced, but still impressed Ukrainian voters. Not everyone was thrilled when it was announced that Volodymyr Zelensky was going to be Ukraine's next president.
Nouns. Synonyms: make public, publicize, declare. So here we can paraphrase subtitled sentence 2. Not everyone was thrilled when it was declared that.
Not everyone was thrilled when it was announced that Volodymyr Zelensky was going to be Ukraine's next president, and several individuals expressed their doubts about his ability to lead Ukraine. Zelensky told the Ukrainian public after winning the election in 2019, "I promise I will never let you down."
Next vocabulary: let down. If you let someone down, you make him or her disappointed. So here, instead of saying "I will never let you down," we can say "I will never disappoint you."
I promise I will never let you down. A journalist and researcher from Kyiv, Olga Tokaruk, said that Zelensky was simply chosen because he was recognizable to Ukrainians. She also added that the comedian-turned-presidential candidate made vague promises and didn't have a concrete electoral program.
Next vocabulary: concrete. In a noun form, it's a solid building material, but as an adjective, it means definite, firm, conclusive, genuine, tangible. So here we can paraphrase concrete to conclusive and say conclusive electoral program.
She also added that the comedian-turned-presidential candidate made vague promises and didn't have a concrete electoral program. Meanwhile, an international relations professor from the University of Melbourne, Sarah Mager, pointed out that the Ukrainian public was frustrated with the government and no longer wanted a small number of rich people leading them. Mager added, Zelensky represented a radical shift away from that oligarchic power that had a stranglehold on Ukrainian politics.
Radical. Synonyms: comprehensive, complete, major. Next vocabulary: shift. Synonym: change. So here we can use comprehensive instead of radical, and change as an alternative for shift.
Zelensky represented a radical shift away from that oligarchic power that had a stranglehold on Ukrainian politics.
Stranglehold. Synonym: control, complete control. So here we can paraphrase stranglehold to complete control and say had a complete control on Ukrainian politics.
That oligarchic power that had a stranglehold on Ukrainian politics. Additionally, Moscow's reporter for The New Yorker, Joshua Yaffa, told NPR in a conversation that Volodymyr Zelensky had an advantage during the elections. He said, "It was clear the Ukrainian people were desperate for an alternative, any alternative.